Am I recording? Yes. All right, and I want captions, so I'm saving that. Now I am going live. All right, hello. Hello, hi. Welcome to the wonderful, wacky world of esoteric Taoism. I'm streaming live on Facebook, but recording on Zoom. So I'm probably going to be like at an odd angle for Facebook, and we're just going to go with it. It's going to be exciting and fun. Let me try to get you less. We're in my living room, so you're just going to have to deal with the truth, the fact of life, and gravity. That was ancestor stuff. Okay. Hello. Here we are. Welcome to the world of Neidan, actual yoga, real genuine yoga from China. And the way that you get access to it is by learning it. It's all open source, and it is the set of philosophical practices, concepts, and ethos that became Chinese medicine. So this predates acupuncture. When the Yellow Emperor wrote his treatise on acupuncture, however many years ago, I've actually lent the book out to one of my TAs. He was writing about Neidan. I also recently confirmed that the practice does indeed map the brain. So the literature says that it maps the brain to the homunculus. Let me see if I can find, somebody's going to ask me for the source. Well, you're just going to have to believe me after 40 years. So it maps to the homunculus, which is the, if our head, if we were like a little puppet, and like for benefit, the puppet for good, the homunculus like reflects into the brain. It's shown so often as some distorted humanoid with big hands. You see how my hands are real big in the screen? All that shows is that we crawl at one point in our life before we stand. So let me show you the Neidan, and I'm showing it to you because this is this is Nijing too, pardon me. This is the chart that your acupuncturist uses. But look what's in it. Oh my goodness, look. There's a Buddha, and there's Lao Tzu, he's the wise old man. This is the 9 peaks, the mountain of the 9 peaks. This is your homunculus. This area right here that is shown as like a landscape with water and a waterfall. This is where your amygdala would rest. I'm calling it like the Millennium Falcon, where, you know that one scene in Star Wars where the Millennium Falcon has to like go through the thing and it goes sideways, like, and then it gets all stable? That's what we're doing with thought in this practice. And as you contemplate thought, my head is cut off, you also start to learn how to land ideas on the planes of the brain. But you don't have to do it like in a big hard way. We can just have fun with it. This is your esophagus. It's called the pagoda of the 12 something stations or something. Pagodas are really important historically in Chinese medicine, but also Chinese life. This implies very directly this area of our head and jaw right here, and is right across from this area that's called the jade pillow. This is where all of your craniosacral stuff happens and what makes you happy with craniosacral, right here. So a lot of what TCM is doing is helping to encode, recreate, and guide us towards that kind of buoyancy that we experience ideally in the womb. And yes, Facebook, that is what you think you see. we're not going to tell you to. One of the things that I've done to make it easier for Westerners to discern which aspect of Tao we're in, because there's as above, as below, and as though. Y'all think that yin and yang is two things. How do we get out of a binary? We make it a trine. This is why algorithm and big data is so dangerous, by the way. So engaging with this practice will be inherently decolonizing, and I have done it in a way that messes up the machine, like literally the machine language. This is the biopsychosocial model. Bio, psycho, social. And I am holding this because it is a model when I can hold it. Otherwise, it's a meme. This is the very most important thing for us to start understanding as humans right now, especially pertaining to the topic of trauma. Meme is a term trying to make Facebook a little bit less, okay, I don't know what I'm making you Facebook, but it's confusing. Okay, so meme, Richard Dawkins is an evolutionary biologist, and he wrote a book called The Selfish Gene in the 1970s, which I totally forgot I studied in grad school. Meme is a unit of measure of culture. So Buddha, this Buddha that I have behind me, we could call it a meme because we have actual genuine Buddha, but we also have skinny white yoga chick Buddha. So part of what the deconstructing process is of understanding where we are placing ideas. This is a placemat or placement. We learn how we're participating in the rhetoric that we're trying to disrupt. I'm calling it trauma, but it's everything. Okay, this pink area here, this is the big concept that is missing. In the CMY variant of Tao, this is a CMY cube. You can see where it looks like it disappears, like it gets clear. That is what we call Wu Wei in Taoism. W-U-W-E-I, Wu Wei. Typically translated as effortless action or non-action. I'm suggesting we contemplate it as I'm aware of the propaganda. From a teaching perspective, from a power dynamic perspective, if you're the one holding the power, like if you look like I do, regardless of context, we need to be aware that we might not be aware, we might not be able to see how we are influencing the experience of oppression. We don't even know. It's okay. We can't know. But the good news is everything you think you believe about psychology is based on a lie. Thank you, Carl Jung. So in Taoism, there is no such thing as a shadow. And Carl Jung stole pretty much everything from Taoism. So I'm going to show you. How do I want to show you this? These are all, this is all a package I'm putting together that you should really truly relate to these like cards until I become interesting enough that putting a card deck together is fiscally reasonable, because then you can move them and place them like geometry and see how they look. Because again, Taoism is about the doing, not about the thinking. I want to show you Shan, and I don't seem to have a printout. Well, that's very sad. Here, be distracted. Look at something pretty. I'm going to go grab something off the wall. Those are, this is the governing and conception vessel. These are the two vessels that are shown in the face of the Neidan. the Neidan. I'm going to start. This is the interface. Neidan is the practice. These two here, that's what these are shown as. And I'm just going to go grab something off my wall. First, I need to be tall enough to do it safely. So when you go to the acupuncturist and they are doing what they do, the entity, there's a whole class of entities called Shen in Chinese medicine that do the labor when they put the acupuncture needle just enough into your skin that it gets into your fascia, because all of our tissue is alive, all of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. We have the whole history of medicine to thank for that lie. So all of the fascia, all of our tissue is alive. We assume everybody is alive and living. There is no Schrodinger. There is only patient. And I've created variants of Shen that are a little bit more cosmic, that I want to guide you straight back into historic, so that we're going to bypass all the parts where humans who look like I do may have sullied things. This is orientation, S-H-E-N, orientation. Orientation, T-I-O-N, is however we would define orientation. Orientation is the lived experience of being aligned in mind, so that the mind, the body, and the sense of are guiding towards the same landing. You have to start talking about landing, not flying. Humans don't fly, friends. Wright brothers flew. So the best way to relate to a bird, if you are in this system, is as though it is landing. And that as though it is landing is where we get this movement, which gives us the as though, which is that little tiny sliver of cyan in between that you can't see. Because when it's working, it's imperceptible. But this is also how rhetoric operates. And we use meme as a concept regularly, all the time, to discuss the internet, which is also where we get thought, which is also everything that everybody believes you're talking to when you speak to the concept of matrix. At this point, we should just contemplate it as data and replace T-I-O-N with S-H-E-N. And also beautiful art. Look at that. Would you rather get a piece of paper with 27 definitions on it, or look at something beautiful? I'll give you a hint. One of these saved my life. The neuroscience that I now map it to is the reason I understood to ignore all of the rhetoric of trauma. And I'm trained by all of the famous humans who get credit. Totally cool, but excuse me, I am not a theory. I am a fact. Polyvagal. All right. So governing and conception vessels takes us into this whole concept of generation and restriction. And you can think of generation and restriction like a breath. Generate and restrict. So it is a cycle. It is not a certainty. And the entity that does the generating and restricting from the magical, mystical perspective, the automagic perspective is what? Shen. Yay, we don't have to learn anything other than there's this thing called a Shen, and it does what it does. Truly, the less you have to remember and learn in order to begin keying into and remembering like you have a body and you exist, the better. Okay, let the humans who have to know all the big words know all the big words. Look for folks who are translating it. You might not like this translation, but some translation is gonna be better. Ooh, now we can talk about your heart and pericardium. So these two characters go with this area here in the perfected gaze, which I gotta edit a little bit. So this is the Neidan 2. This is the chart of Chinese medicine. The way that I'm displaying it is how Neidan contemplates gravity. It's very complex. Okay, so this is why it's not clear. I am making it clear. It still might not be clear, but I want you to know where the Neidan mind, it's not a mindset. Contemplation, it's a contemplation is how it's labeled. I really think it's more empowering to relate to this as alchemy because it goes to our emotions. So the Bagua here says that the very most important aspect of any active Chinese medicine is the placement of earth, like the actual earth. That's the horizontal plane. Earth does not exist in idea. So we're going to try to get it as literal as possible. The heaviest way that we experience gravity, though, is through our perineum. So you could contemplate this as perineum, this is pericardium, and this is pineal gland. And we just let the pineal experience the balance because we're flying a Millennium Falcon of ideas, of thought, and trusting that it's going to land in the correct place. Because look, they went through all the effort. We don't have to go through any effort. It's already been done. It has been done. It is thousands and thousands of years old. Hasn't changed. The pericardium and triple warmer are the two extraordinary vessels that are implied at the Star Bridge, which is, because I know you're looking at a lot of beans, okay, this is the Star Bridge. It's the CMY pericardium. Pericardium is historically guided as though it's the same as fire, as an element, because it is mapping to the fire element. I've taken it and externalized it as the C in the CMY, because this is also the social network of biopsychosocial. So this is where collaboration happens. This is where making things happens. This is also where everybody who's telling you that you need to regulate your nervous system in order to heal, this is where they're holding you hostage. You're being held hostage by rhetoric. All it takes is letting it go. Either going meta to the mind, so we can talk about a pernicious influence. If we want to talk about something real, we can talk about it through the lens of Chinese medicine and make it cosmic. And then we're relating to it genuinely in a way that is playful and keeps the pericardium, the cosmic ball of love, just keeps it buoyant. And mapping it to the cyan and then introducing you to Shen also keeps us in integrity with Chinese medicine. Because we don't want to be, maybe you do, I am not interested in co-opting anything that's already there. I'd rather just figure out ways to provide direct access. Buy my stuff, right? We'll figure out the training and such moving forward, but you should not have a barrier to access. Okay? When the beings are facing away from each other, this is how I am displaying, any concept that leads to a measurement. It is not inherently good or bad. It's just a concept that leads to measurement. It is inherently doing this, though. It is not inherently, you're going to have to look at some notes here. It's not coming in. Okay. Nervous system regulation is a concept of separation. All concepts of mental health are fully and wholly aligned cognitively in this biopsychosocial model. They're fully aligned with every concept that leads to incarceration, jail. And that has to do with the nature of 911 and emergency medicine, not with the nature of the humans. So part of what's happening is folks are speaking to a system, but not contemplating ecosystem as global. And now I'm here. So you can contemplate with me or not. Any part of this you engage with, though, it's going to turn into beautiful art, because that's all you really need to be looking at. That's it. This is the correction for this separation. So it can be beautiful. I'm using machine language, my deep understanding of machine language, to encode the geometry, the philosophy, and the facts of Chinese medicine into the art. So it's reflecting into and through the deep neural network of the human being, because we live in 3 dimensions, not 2. And if you don't believe me, go try to fly. Gravity. Silly boys forgetting gravity. These are the Taoist immortals. These become the Bagua, and this is how we're going to get to Earth, on Earth, but we got to do it cosmic or we're going to feel guilt and shame. I'm so sorry. If you look like me, it's real difficult to actively engage in concepts of decolonization without being wrong. And then if we're also wanting to heal, that's going to give us shame, and that is a very not good combination. So these immortals, look at them, totally fun, dancing on clouds, historically accurate, direct access. Of course, I understand copyright, do not even ask. And then what I want you to do, I don't know if you will, I want you to start looking at anything that you look at as an interface. That's all it is. Might as well be when you go to the subway and you see the really nice chart of subway, but that's your experience in the subway. That's not the street map experience. All of this is a street map. We have to just assume all of this is street map. Even and especially anything that is shown to you that guides the mind to the concept of somatic, soma, body, or body parts. Western medicine, the lens of Western medicine is attuned to microscope, but executed as surgery. It's just how Western medicine is trained. It's genuinely the reason that so many of us have difficult experiences at the doctor once we've had trauma. Because and also there's always CPR. Death isn't even final when you go to the hospital. You have to opt out of resuscitation. You opt out of death when you go into surgery. We would say, that's not very good alchemy. Not very good alchemy. And so again, rather than making ourselves wrong and feeling shame, I'm just saying we're going to bypass it. It creates a triple bypass. We're going to relate to my father, who's not here. This is actually Peter Safar, and I'm presenting him as the concept of Schrodinger's patient. The print is, I thought I had the print. So I can show you. I suggest you just print it out on some nice art paper, but nothing like so fancy that you're going to be upset if and when it tears. And this is contemplation. This is Shen of the heart, that character at the top. I was mentioning Shen from Chinese medicine. The Shen of the heart is the spirit of our organs. The Shen of the mind is the spirit of the soma. There is not a Shen in the belly. That's where we connect to earth. Okay? We actually have to like get on planet. It's called flatland in physics. So what Peter Safar did, this is the inventor of CPR. He's one of the humans who helped to raise me. Wonderful man. Also made some decisions. Took some choice away from us. He's a boomer. This all like, I don't know when he invented it, but my family got very intimately involved with understanding cardiac in the mid 80s when my father had his first major event, first of many. The Neidan 2 in this context represents fascia, represents living tissue. This area here is called, some of you who do martial arts will know this as the hara. This is the lower energy center. This is the belly energy center. This is the middle energy center. This is the energy center of the heart. Oh, by the way, it relies on a woman, not a boy or a man, a woman, the weaver. There's a book that says the web that has no weaver. Excuse me, she's right there. Okay, and she's the one who determines. She's also, this also represents midwifery and commerce. So there's a lot that this disrupts when we just assume CPR. I'm not saying take CPR out. I'm saying we need to learn not to assume it, because all of these ways that we are discussing now, trauma is so intimately and completely, it's like a gold chain that has just been mangled and blah, right? Because it's also the rhetoric of liberation. It's the rhetoric of mobilization. This has to do with moving, transportation, global logistics, anything that can disrupt that. If we just assume disruption, we assume that we're just going to tear through. Oh, look at that. You don't want to tear through that. Look, there's a Buddha and Lao Tzu, the wise old man. So we can turn him into that, because this is metaphor and symbolism. And we know in Tao that you're alive. The assumption is life. So this is Schrodinger's patient, because humans don't seem to remember that we're alive. We are also bound by gravity. And then I'm going to jump off. So for the main concepts, the main mechanism of Taoism is Tensegrity. It's how it operates. This is a rendering of fascia pretty. It's called Tensegrity. I have a whole picture book I've put together. I might change how I'm distributing that so that everybody can have access to it for less than 20 bucks. I like these as placements because now I can remember, oh yes, gravity. If you put it on your wall, it is not obligated. It is meme. It is, might as well be propaganda. It is worthy of investigation. If you take it off the wall, you can go, oh, okay, now I'm with something real. All the somatics that says, tell me the 17 things in your environment, don't orient the human. Home first. Home is our ass. Home is ass in the grass. It is not seat in the chair. So since we can't ass in the grass all the time, we're just going to say, hey, where's gravity? Where's your bum? Sense of bum. So I had to add sense of bum. I had to pull out the cyan to show you that wave in between the yin and the yang. And this is your brain. So I think you should come be a being, because this is a much better and more peaceful and fun way to engage with the concept of nervous system regulation and emotional shit than measurement. This is a different kind of measure. This is the measure of music. This is the measure of string theory. This is the measure of mess up, okay, whatever, and then we go back. Peter was my father's piano student, so I understand his relationship to the concept of practice. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.